Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. A warm welcome to our webinar on orchard crop investment opportunities here in Jamaica. My name is Marlene Porter. I am the Manager of Agribusiness, Investments and Linkages at JAMPRO. A special welcome to our presenters from the Agri-Investment Corporation, Mr. Vivian Scully, the Chief Executive Officer, and Ms. Jodianne Clark Tate, Manager, Business Development at Agri-Investment as well. Welcome also to my colleague, Andrea Reed, Senior Officer, Agribusiness Investment at JAMPRO. While our focus today is on orchard crops, Jamaica offers great investment opportunities across the agribusiness landscape. As an investment destination, Jamaica boasts many advantages. To begin with, it is a top business destination in the English-speaking Caribbean. Our friendly business climate and the growing economy have contributed to the success of many multinationals, medium and small-sized businesses here in Jamaica. Our GDP was 4.8% last year, and by July, we were at 2.8%, which points to the fact that the economy is healthy. Jamaica is strategically located. We enjoy great proximity along the various shipping lanes and trade and air routes, and we are ideally connected to the rest of the world. So there is no issue in getting your products into the global markets. Last year alone, we had over 3,000 vessels visiting our Jamaican ports. On the business front, on the agribusiness front, Jamaica is fertile ground for agribusiness. The island has a variety of unique microclimates, and with varying soil types, temperatures, rainfall, sunlight, it allows us to grow a wide range of products, a wide range of crops. Our production possibilities are immense. Many of the Jamaican products that we have on the market have unique flavor profiles and boast other characteristics which allow them to command premium prices in our export markets. Jamaica has produced, for example, the premium Jamaica Blue Mountain coffee, fine flavored cocoa, ginger, turmeric, Scotch bonnet pepper, just to name a few. And, you know, for the agribusiness sector, we know that this is a prioritized sector of the government of Jamaica. So we continue to see heavy investments in the development of the sector through various capacity building, training, through the extension services that are offered by other agencies of the government, and key infrastructure projects and programs. For example, the major road networks that we're seeing around building out our farm road improvements, port developments, irrigation systems, and of course, the development of our agri-parks, which you're going to hear more about later on in the presentation. Investors can also benefit from the trade agreements that Jamaica has with various other markets, which offer us preferential access to these markets. Sorry about that, which offer us preferential access to these markets. We have, for example, trade agreements with the US, Canada, CARICOM, the EU, the DR, and various other countries. I also need to point to the fact that our brand, the Jamaican brand, has great appeal in the markets. We have the technical services that we have, the government's incentives that are accessible to our farmers and agro-processors are other reasons for considering investing in Jamaica and investing in the agribusiness sector. As it stands, we have over 44,000 acres of good arable lands that are available for cultivation. And we are optimistic that when you hear the presenters today, when you hear from the various presenters, that you will be reaching out to us to understand what some of the options are and to also give us that opportunity to facilitate you as you seek to build out the investments. Before I invite our first presenter to address you, I just want to remind you that you can use your use the chat window to record any questions that you may have after the presentations, because we'll have a section dedicated to the to question and answer. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Again, a warm welcome, and I now invite Ms. Andrea Reed to address you.
Thank you, Marlene. Good morning. So I'll start off by saying that agribusiness is ripe for investment. And that is demonstrated by the government's support and investment for the sector. Sorry about that. The government support and investment for the sector. Let me just pull up my presentation. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, right. So thank you very much, Marlene. So agribusiness is ripe for investment, and that is demonstrated by the government's support for the sector. Of course, today we're focusing on orchard crops, which is prioritized under the new Pace of Food initiative. Basically, it's built upon 4 fundamental pillars. So, of course, very important, we have food security. We have putting infrastructure in place for the agribusiness development, utilizing climate-smart technologies, and, export expansion. The orchard crops of focus this morning we're going to be looking at is mango, breadfruit, avocado, and ackee. There are other 3 crops with considerable opportunity, where we look at papaya, coffee, cocoa, castor, and citrus. So as we talk about orchard crops, it's very important to ask why orchard crops. And there are 3 key reasons that I want to give this morning. There is a strong global demand for fresh and value-added products. Also, there is a trend towards healthy consumption. And most importantly, there is food security. When we talk about the orchard crops, some of the benefits that we see basically is there is little or no maintenance or ongoing maintenance. So once the crop is established or once it is put in place, there is very little ongoing maintenance or recurring costs that is required. There is reduced dependence on cash crops, but most importantly, there is intercropping. What exactly this means, it guarantees productivity and profitability. Not only that, it maximizes resource allocation for both land, labor, and other inputs while minimizing the risk of crop failure. And that's very important to the farmer. So the first case that we're going to look at is a case for mango. The different varieties that we have East Indian, we have St. Julian, and we have the Tommy Atkins. And these are the ones that are primarily demanded in the export market. Mango orchards can be grown island-wide, however, for greater success and yield. We see where St. Elizabeth, Westmoreland, Clarendon, St. Thomas, and St. Catherine are the prioritized parishes. The Agro Investment Corporation has developed investment profiles, and this morning we will be looking at a 50-acre plot, which requires an initial investment of US $11,000. This will give an average annual return of US $372,000 and gives an average margin of 92%. When we're looking at the export markets primarily demanding these products, we have the US, we have Canada, we have UK, and we have Netherlands. According to the International Trade Center, there is approximately US 3 billion untapped potential that Jamaica can benefit from. We can also look at, creative and innovative products that be derived from mango. Some of these are, you have the puree, the juices, dehydrated mango slices, candies, brine, and other products that can be derived based on research. For the next case that we're looking at, let's look at cake. We have the different varieties. So we have butter and we have cheese. Again, suitable locations. There is St. Elizabeth, Westmoreland, and Clarendon. In this case, we're going to be looking at a 20-acre plot, starting with an initial investment of $38,000. We can see that in the very year 2, we can start bearing some fruit and some success for the investment, and that can give an average revenue of US $402,000. Again, the primary markets that we're seeing, and again, this is based on demands, persons, seeking to get ackee. We have Canada, Cayman, St. Martin, United Kingdom, and the United States. Variety of different products that can be derived. We have wine, we have facial products, we have juice, and vacuum-packed products. In the case of breadfruit, the different varieties are the yellow heart, we have the white heart, and we have the prickly breadfruit. The different locations, we have Hanover, Portland, St. Mary, St. Thomas, we have Westmoreland, St. Catherine, and St. James. In looking at a 20-acre plot, that initial investment is US $45,000. We can see some, success or reaping in commented about year 3. The average revenue here is US $173,000. We have the markets here is US, Canada, and the UK. And again, there is untapped potential of US 6 billion that we can tap into. For the breadfruit products that can be derived, we have the flour, we have bread, we have cookies, we have desserts, we have drinks, and other preserves. Our final case that we will be looking at is for avocado. The main varieties are Choquette, Gwen, and Hass. Locations, St. Thomas, St. Mary, Clarendon, and Manchester. In this case, we looked at a 29-acre plot with initial investment requiring US $55,000. We can start seeing reaping in year 3. Markets of interest, or markets that are demanding this product, is US, UK, and Canada. Again, there continues to be untapped potential of 2.9 billion that we can take advantage of. The products that can be derived from the avocado, we have the avocado powder, we have juice, we have sauce, paste, dried and shredded ice cream, and we have ice cream as well. We were talking about the investment profiles developed by the Agro Investment Corporation, and as they come, they will share it with the key elements that persons can look into. The profiles are available, and for additional information, you can be contact financials and what exactly it is required to have a better understanding of going into the specific orchard crop farm. In support of orchard crops, the incentives are available to the sector. And what we have the product incentive relief, and this is due to free importation of farm equipment and other products. We also have a 20% concession on vehicles. You can make contact with JAMPRO, and JAMPRO will be able to guide you through the process to be able to access these incentives. So JAMPRO works with the investors, and what we basically do, we are just one of the key stakeholders in the process. So we work with persons to get permits and license for the business approval process. If there are any challenges or obstacles, we work with individuals as well, removing all the bottlenecks. We provide market intelligence information, we provide research if it is required for the investment, we provide business information, and most importantly, we guide them through the process. as JAMPRO, we are just one of the stakeholders in the agro ecosystem. We have to work with our stakeholders. We have Agro Investment Corporation, which will share with you as they present later in the session in terms of the services that they offer to individuals. We have RADA that provides capacity building, training, and technical expertise to persons who want to go into orchard crops or any other area of agriculture. We also have the Bureau of Standards. You know, it's all about standards. And if persons required to import any plant material, then we have the plant quarantine department of the Ministry of Agriculture that will work with persons to streamline the process and carrying the different planting materials. Last but not least, you may be able to contact JAMPRO and myself, Andrea Reed or Marlene Porter, and we thank you very much. And this is our presentation. We'll have questions at the end. Marlene, over to you.
Thank you, Andrea. For whetting the appetite of our participants this morning. There are other crops, as we said earlier on, that are available, crop profiles that are available, that you can reach out to us and to Agro Investment Corporation. So you could also take a look at those. And many of these crops that we share are suitable also for intercropping, even as you wait for the orchard crops to mature. So reach out to us, and we will work with you in getting these profiles, and of course in advancing any project you have that you may have in your pipeline. Thanks again, Andrea. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, I invite Mr. Vivian Scully, CEO of Agro Investment Corporation, to share with us on his topic.
Hi, good morning, everyone. We're happy to be partnering with our sister agency, JAMPRO, on this webinar today, where we are sharing with you more information about getting involved in agriculture and specifically those around the orchard crops. My name is Vivian Scully. I'm the CEO of Agro Invest. And so I want to take you quickly through a few slides before I hand over to my other colleague who will go into a bit more detail around the opportunities in agriculture through Agro Invest. So as we about to embark on this discussion, I want to re-emphasize that an important cog in getting more investments into Jamaica is us partnering with private sector. And we're looking forward to engaging persons because the private sector plays a crucial role in the development of agriculture in Jamaica and driving sustainability. We look forward to innovation, more investments, job creation, economic growth, and that's the country is embarking on a strong agricultural support program to enable success for more investors across this industry. So what does Agro Invest do? One of the features of our involvement in agriculture is around our agro parks. We currently have 8 agro parks across Jamaica and what we also call production zones, and there are about 9 of those. Across that infrastructure, we are currently facilitating over 500 farmers/investors. We also have processing facilities. We have warehousing for agricultural products at our AMC complex in Kingston. And there are other facilities across Jamaica where we offer space to investors who are seeking to process agricultural products. Then there's our farm technical support, our business facilitation unit. And our next presenter is going to speak a bit more around that, where we support investors in their business plans and just helping you to craft a roadmap for your investment in agriculture. We also have a market linkage team that assists persons on our agri-parks to connect with buyers and exporters to increase your sales of products and your success. And then we have a range of investment opportunities in the sector, which today we're going to be talking about orchard crops, but we also have investment opportunities for cash crops, as well as processing opportunities, as well as packages around providing services to the agricultural sector. Just a quick overview, the industry in Jamaica, agriculture is at about $1.1 billion, and we're growing at about 3.5% annually. There are over 250,000 registered farmers currently, and we're looking for more. Employment contribution currently stands at about 15.5%. And so agriculture is an important cog in our development here in Jamaica. It's an industry that has been growing for the last couple of years. And you can see the trend. These are in production output. Currently, we're at 846 million tons of produce in Jamaica, and we're seeking to grow that significantly over the coming years. From AgroInvest, there's vast potential. Jamaica has significant untapped arable land. However, only about 7% is currently irrigated. And we are embarking on more projects and programs to irrigate more lands in Jamaica. Here we have about 8,000 acres under our management, and we're seeking to grow that through to 10,000 next year and to 20,000 within the next 3 years. So we're opening up significant opportunities for agriculture here in Jamaica for investors who are seeking to get involved. One of the major projects we're looking at next year, and starting in the first quarter of next year, we're going to be accepting investment applications for SPAD, the Southern Plain Agricultural Development Project. What is this all about? It's opening up close to 2,000 acres of land between St. Catherine and Clarendon in the Amity Hall, Bridgepen, and the Parnassus areas. And these areas are going to be increasing current agri-parks that we have in Amity, as well as in the Clarendon area where we already have Ebony Park. We're now going to be adding Parnassus to that list as well. And opportunities will be there for cash crops as well as orchard crops. Under the Face of Food initiative, there's support, in fact, around areas that we're focusing because of the huge market opportunities that exist. Yam is now one of our lead export items, so is sweet potatoes. And under the orchard crop development, we're looking at breadfruit, akis, and mangoes because of the huge demand and opportunities around these crops. Not mentioned there is avocado. We also have opportunities for avocado as well. So just to summarize, investors have a unique opportunity in Jamaican orchard crops because ideal climate, fertile soil, and a growing demand, not only in Jamaica, but within our diaspora markets for tropical fruits. And as such, the returns are significant. What we're doing from the government side is to create 1,000 acres in terms of availability for investors to get in on cash crops. For each of those crops mentioned, we're identifying 1,000 acres to support the rollout of those crops over the next 3 to 5 years. This is what one of these mango orchards could look like. There's tremendous amount of support around that in terms of government support, infrastructure and technology to make it easier to manage these parks. And we're prioritizing sustainability for the environment in encouraging orchard crop production. So you can be a part of this movement in agriculture as we strive to increase opportunities and production within the agricultural sector in Jamaica. So There's our contact for AgroInvest. You already saw the contact for JAMPRO. Please reach out to JAMPRO. They will share with us your interest and our leads, and we will work together to develop these opportunities and to ensure that you have success in the business that you choose to get involved in. All right, so at this point, I'm going to hand over to my colleague, Jodianne, who will take you through a bit more detail around the opportunities here at AgroInvest. And thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Jodianne Tate Clark, and I'm the Business Facilitation Manager here at AgroInvest. And this morning, I'm just going to bring you through a synopsis of the opportunities that are available for orchard crop investments. Okay, so you would have heard about our Face of Food initiative, well, the new Face of Food initiative. And under that initiative, the aim is to reduce food waste through agribusiness expansion and value chain development, as well as to transform the agribusiness food system towards green and climate resilient practices. So the main aims are food security, agribusiness development, climate smart technology, export expansion, which orchard crops do contribute to. Mr. Scully would have shown you the different crops under this initiative. And again, the government is pushing yam, sweet potato, breadfruit, ackee, mango, avocado, as well as small ruminants and aquaculture. But today we focus on breadfruit, ackee, mango. Mr. Scully would have also mentioned that the target acreage for these orchard crops are 1,000 acres each. And you would have seen on your, well, the right of my screen, the different production outputs for each at this acreage. As an investor, you want to know what your ROI on your investment is, and we're looking at investments from 5.8 million up to 18 million. And again, the economical acreage that we have assessed for mango is 50 acres. For crops such as ackee, breadfruit, and avocado, you can start at 20 acres, and you're looking at an ROI of anywhere between 44% and 81%. So orchard crop investment is important, and it is a unique opportunity in Jamaica because of the ideal tropical climate, fertile soil, growing global demand for tropical fruits, significant returns. Again, you have the government's backing. This is something that, you know, we are considering priority crops for the upcoming financial years. Agro-processing potential, and you would have heard Ms. Reed go through a list of all the different value-added products that you can incorporate into the production of these orchard crops. You have good local and export potential. And I like to consider fruit tree crops the passive income of agriculture, because once you put in the major work at the beginning, the maintenance and the cost to operate gets lesser and lesser in the subsequent years. So one of the opportunities that we have for orchard crop production is within our SPAD project, right? And the SPAD project is an expansion of our Amity Hall Agro Park, which is in St. Catherine, and we'll be expanding into the Bridgepen area, as well as the SPAD project will also be a part of Clarendon, Parnassus, right? And in Amity Hall, you will have 965 acres. 460 acres of this will be allocated to the production of orchard crops. Then in the Parnassus-Clarendon area, there will be 760 acres under this project, and 200 of this will be allocated to orchard crop. You would have heard also that we're expecting to start taking in applications for these in early 2024. So this is just a look at what the project area will look like when it's completed, and everything is divided per investor. And this is for Parnassus. We also have an opportunity within the Holland area for the production of coconut. Again, this is not a focus crop, but based on the specifics of the Holland area, coconut has proven to be a good crop for production within that area. And we're proposing to repackage the estate to 600 and 1,200 acre commercial investment packages. Again, we're looking for 2 major commercial investors for this area. And the value-added products that come from the production of cocoa nuts. So at this time, it's time to take action. Agro Invest, we like to consider ourselves to be the guide from the conception of your idea to the implementation of your project. And through our business facilitation services, we do business counseling. We also do investment profiles. Those are free of cost to you. However, if you'd like customized financials, then you can ask for a business plan or a financial analysis to be done. Again, we encourage that if you're interested in any of these crops, avocado, papaya, mango, breadfruit, any one of these crops, then give us a call. We can send you out an investment profiles to give you a preview of what your project would look like, let's say at a 20-acre project or a 50-acre mango project. However, we encourage that each project is unique, right? Each project is unique. So if you want something more customized to you based on your location, based on what your project will include, then we ask that you sit down with one of our business analysts to discuss a business plan, right? Or agro parks are also unique because they offer added technical support, right? But outside of our agro parks, if there's not enough space within the agro parks, we do partner. And Ms. Porter had spoken about partnering with our different agencies within the sector to ensure that we're able to help you as best as possible to bring your investment vision to life, right? So we do partner with the SCJ where it relates to land. So if there's land that you need outside of the agro parks, or if you have land and you need us to come and look at it to see the suitability, start your business planning for you, then we definitely do accommodate such requests, right? So that's it from me. I do ask that you give us a call and let us discuss with you how to get your investment projects in orchard crops started. Thank you.
Thank you, Jodianne. Thank you, Vivian, for your presentations, underscoring very importantly the opportunities that we have, not just within the orchard crop space, but also speaking to others outside of that space as well, going even into livestock, and just let me add aquaculture here as other opportunity areas, since we're looking in a broad sense at that. But the face of food, as mentioned by you, is really going to very strategic approach that we know will bring about an important transformation to the agri-business sector. The expansion plans that were shared for the agro parks, these are quite welcomed because we know that there are sometimes constraints in getting contiguous areas of certain sizes. So with this expansion, we should be able to respond more on some of those requests that comes in. Of course, outside of the agro parks, the Sugar Company of Jamaica has in its portfolio lands that were previously used for sugarcane production. And these lands are also available. And you can talk to us as well, and we will help you to get these going. Jody Ann spoke to the service, some of the services they deliver at Agro Investment Corporation. And I want to highlight the business planning aspect of it, because to gain access to these lands, you must have a viable proposal that you're sharing either with SCJ or with the Agro Investment Corporation to get your projects going. So with that, then we're going to go directly now into our question. Thank you again, all three presenters. And it is at this time that we take a look at the questions that we have been getting in the chat. So in the chat, in the Q&A section, some of them have been responded to already, but others may not have been. So I'm going to go through and just address some of those that I am seeing here. The Andre Timol, I believe, he's saying, if you don't have the following, can one still take part in this project? I rather hire a farmer to handle the day-to-day activities. Can I get access to grants to hire Agro Invest to develop my business plan and start this project? Loans I can repay once the crop starts making money. I'm going to hand this to you, Vivian, to take for me around the Agro Invest aspect of it, particularly with the business plan. In terms of grants, these are your project and your proposal are the main tools that you would need to have ready in order to get access to grant fundings that are out there. But you do see these from time to time. And so, let me not say anything more. Let me just hand over to Vivian to respond on this one.
All right, thanks, Marlene. So the question was whether or not they can engage in farming on the agro parks and having access to using labor and not being directly involved. Sure, many of our investors lease land on the agro parks and they hire persons to run and operate their project. So you need not get involved directly, but you need to supervise it to ensure that they're on track with the production plan that was outlined at the beginning. As it relates to grants, they're often available. And so you have to, keep in touch with the different organizations like the DBJ, the Ministry of Agriculture, and even ourselves on JAMPRO. We will have information on that from time to time. But one interesting feature about the Southern Plains Agricultural Development Project is that the initial investors next year will be able to apply for a matching grant. We have close to 300,000 pounds, UK pounds, that are going to be available to the initial investors, ranging from 250,000 Jamaican dollars to up to $1.2 million, depending on the size of the project. And as it says, it's a matching grant. So you can match the fund with actual investment dollars, or it can be the inputs that you're putting into the project. And this grant that we're going to be making available will be for the purpose of irrigation on the project, as well as planting material to get you started. So hope that answers the question. There are a few more questions in the chat.
Vivian, I'd like you to take the very next one that asks us to define the agro-parks.
Yes, so the agro-park is a organized area where we provide infrastructure support in terms of irrigation. As I said, many of the lands across Jamaica, the majority of farmlands do not have irrigation. And on the agri-parks, we provide, in most cases, irrigation, roads, and infrastructure support. You also have the engagement with our farm managers and our technical support persons to assist you with your project as you go along. So that's in essence, a bit about the agri-park. And then there's the added feature of the market support that you get to connect you with buyers for your crops as well.
Yeah, and what I like about the agri-parks too, Vivian, is that the fact is, while you don't call it a cluster, you have all these players together that can come together and deal with some of the services and even components of marketing as from their business operations. So there are opportunities for collaboration as well.
Right.
And
think of it as
bring about certain efficiencies of scale within how they operate.
Right. One way to think of it is as a co-working space for agriculture.
Well, absolutely. There is a question, and I'm going to ask Jodianne to respond to the next question. I suspect that the two figures may be related to different acreages, that the use of different acreages that for the analysis that was done. It is saying here that with a capex of 50, with the use of 50 acres, we're seeing $11,000 on one front, and from the other presentation, 18 million. And if it is not that, there must be a typo error on one part of it. So, Jodianne, would you be able to first take that, and maybe you could add anything after, Andrea?
I'm supposing there was an error because the 18 million would work out to about $116,000 and that's at 50 acreage. I'm not sure which acreage Andrea was using before.
For the mango.
Must be where the issue, right?
Okay,
but at 50 acres, it's 80 million Jamaican.
Yes. So, and you also need to note that one is quoted in US dollar and one is quoted in Jamaican dollars. I hope that when it is done, it wasn't the exchange rate that moved that significantly. So it could be the rate that was used, or the acreage, I mean, that was used for that one. The next question, I don't know how much, I see a raised hand, and I'm going to pause and just take that question from the floor. I can't promise I'll take many questions. I'm going to ask you to be very brief in your response, in asking your question, sorry. So please go ahead. All right, well, I'll move forward then. The other another question that came up is that there is great opportunity for investment. However, I'm not hearing any mention on the financial side of things and security plans proposed to combat risk. I recently engaged AgriInvest for orchard crop investment in Aki. However, it fell through because the banks think it is a high-risk area. So with that, is there any financial support and facility other than DBJ that is being looked at to finance these opportunities? May I ask again, Mr. Scully, that you speak on that, and then I will come in after.
Right, so good question. These orchard crops are initially based on investors bringing funds to the table. And like most of the agricultural projects in Jamaica, the banks oftentimes are reluctant without sufficient collateral provided. And especially in the initial stage, you're looking at developing the project for the first 3 years before you actually start reaping. And so we're looking for investors to bring that original investment capital to the table. If you are able to provide collateral for that startup, then the banks would be willing to support you in that case.
Okay, well, thanks for that response, Vivian. I was also going to add that I was going to speak to the need for the companies, the investors, to come to the table with something, some amount of equity to kick off that business, and also a strong business plan. You may not get through on one front with one bank, but it doesn't mean that you cannot have the financials that demonstrate that this is a project that is viable and that is worthwhile. So, you know, my suggestion is to make sure that you have a sound business plan as you go along. You know, a lot has been done in terms of the area of risk. We have seen that some effort to bring insurance bear on the sector as well, and this in itself can have implications for how the banks respond on proposals that are presented to them. So these are just considerations as we move forward. And just to say that, you know, sometimes we look to debt financing for a number of our projects, but I just want to put on the table that there are great opportunities to engage with other players out there. It could be family members, close friends, and, you know, make a case for your investment project and pull the equity together. At least it saves you the cost of debt in that respect, and it allows you the time to truly begin to reap from your investments if you can work to get equity in to come to bear on projects of these kinds. I don't know if any of the other presenters would like to add anything. If not, how are we doing with time? I think we have some time. The agri-parks, the next one is the agri-parks provide lands for the crops. Is this leased to the investor? Well, I'll just answer that the lands are usually leased to the investors once you bring forward a proposal and the supporting financials for that project. I'm seeing a question from Rita Hilton. It says, what is the status of the initial 1,000-acre mango orchard in the park? And I hand that to AgriInvest to respond on it, since the park is under your portfolio, your management.
Oh, good. I just learned yesterday that my dear friend Rita is also very engaged in mango export. So good. The current status of the mango parks is we have 10 investors who initially signed up. Just about half of that number has planted their acreages already, and some are mixed intercropping with mixed crops, which is what we encourage in the first 3 years to get cash flow going. And so we've been working with them closely to build out those areas. We currently have about 300 acres, which is irrigated. And the initial acreage that was provided was close to 1,000. It was about 800 acres. We are currently irrigating the other areas to facilitate promoting at this time. So we look forward to those investors beginning to reap in the next 2 to 3 years, and that will increase our mango exports to the overseas markets, as well as provide opportunities locally for purees, etc.
Thank you for that response, Vivian. I am going to take the question from Giovanni Scott, and he's asking how evaluate the land. Andrea, can you take this on for us, as I know you work a lot with these investors?
Thanks, Marlene. So yes, we can do with the support of RADA. Normally when we are going out to these visits, we take RADA to respective parish office, and they will do an assessment of the land. They will look in terms of what's basically the soil type, what sort of crops can be grown, what sort of our level of irrigation that is required, and work with the farmer in just giving them that overall assessment. It's also good, to have an agronomist to see what are the specific crop types and stuff like that. So those are some of the things that we put in place, rather going out with persons to see how it is to do an evaluation of what exactly can be planted on the respective lands.
Another question is how can you from banks if the grants are not available? I'm going to ask you to go with that first, Vivian, and then we will respond on it. There is also a question that I'd like us to follow up on. It says, is there any, from Jordan Dawson, hi Jordan, any provision in place by the government to provide farmer insurance from natural disasters, and also any plans to put in place stringent measures to help farmers with trigger losses? So I want all the panelists to comment on that one because there may be different perspectives on it. If possible, but I will first of all ask you, Vivian, to take the question and respond to that. Hello? Hello? Let me just say that again. I think something went wrong from my end. Just to say that there are two questions that I'm going to do back to back. One is, how can the government, us, assist with funding from banks if grants are not available? Vivian, can you respond on that? And then I'll ask various members of the panel to comment to respond to Jordan Dawson's question. And I was saying hi to Jordan over there. Is there any provision in place by the government to provide farmer insurance from natural disasters, or to put in plan more stringent measures to help with, farmers with larceny, which is a big topic right here. So Vivian, please go first, and then I'll invite Andrea to speak to the predial larceny.
All right, so this is definitely a topic that's generating a lot of interest. Over to you, Vivian. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of interest around the agro park. So I'm encouraged by that.
Mr. Scully, we're not hearing you. I think you may be muted.
No, it's not muted. There might be an issue with the Zoom somewhere along there.
Okay.
Yeah. Hearing me better now?
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm encouraged by the many questions around the agro parks, which means we need to have a session on just updating persons about the operations of the agro parks. But yes, so to answer some of those questions, first off, there's one about whether or not persons can buy or lease land on the agro park. Yes, it's for lease only, and these contracts are between 5 years and rolled over based on maintaining production on the park. So it goes 5, 10, 15, and will roll over as long as the lessee, the investor, maintains production on the park and keeps their accounts current. As it relates to the issue around de-risking and fencing, we're currently providing fencing for the agro park for mangoes in Tollgate in Clarendon, because there's issues with animals at times, and so we're providing fencing to reduce that. As it relates to predial larceny, that continues to be a challenge, but obviously it's less on the agro parks because of the collaborative nature of the farmers who work there. But we do have issues, and from time to time, and we're working with the Predial larceny unit to implement measures to reduce those incidents where these occur. But it's an ongoing strategy that we have to be embarking on. So to answer your question, success on the agri-park is encouraged by the number of support mechanisms that we have, whether from technical support, farm services, as well as with collaboration with other farmers and the market support that you get in operating on the agri-park. The leases on the agri-parks are quite affordable versus market. For example, for irrigated land, it's currently at $15,000 per acre per year. And for unirrigated lands where those are in place, it's about, for the orchard crops, it's $10,000 per year per annum. What other question did we have there? Read the avocado varieties mentioned. If these are not available locally, how would we be able to source? These are available from areas like Bodles, and there are a few other persons who grow seedlings for orchard crops. You place your order at the beginning of the project and you can have those available locally. And the price range from $600 to $700, $750 per seedling.
While you're on the floor, Vivian, can you just answer, because I did ask Andrea to speak also on Predial larceny, but can you just answer the question of the process of accessing lands? I think that came from Rita for orchard crops on the park. What's that process?
Right, it's similar to any other accessing lease for any other crop on the park. There's an application, it's available for download on our website, www.agroinvest.gov.jm. Under the properties and assets link, you can download the form there and complete it and submit it to us for review. There's a lease application process. It's get reviewed internally, then it goes to an external lease review committee. And once that's you're approved, then we move to effecting a contract with you.
Thanks, Vivian.
Projects have to be, of course, be supported by the financial financing. So you would provide a statement that indicates funds are available at least for the first year for the specific crop that you're going to be engaged in. And that ranges from about $250,000 per acre up to $1 million, depending on what you're getting involved in.
All right, thanks again. Andrea, could you speak to some of what's being done to address Predial larceny?
Sure, Marlene.
Response to that.
Just to say that as recent as November, Minister Green piloted the amendment of the Agricultural Produce Bill. And what this does is really to have more stringent penalties, moving from, I think, 250,000 or 3 months in prison to 3 million or 3 years in prison. The expectation of this is that this will deter persons. But again, as Vivian said, that, the government continue to work, putting in, not only the policy and making the amendments, but ensuring and working with the Predial larceny unit to ensure that, persons' investments are covered. So it's an ongoing process, but the government is working, recognizing the challenges and working towards minimizing or alleviating them.
Thank you, Andrea. And it is the recognition that this is something that we need to nip. This is propelling the kind of work that is being put behind addressing the whole matter of Predial larceny. Jodian, could you take us through another question that was there, asked about the 5 acre plots, if these are available for lease, and do you go as low? I'm just adding on to this. Do you go as low as 5 acres for the orchard crops?
Okay. All right, so for orchard crops, remember we would have done an analysis based on the economic acreage.
Jodianne?
Can you hear me?
Jodianne, I was asking you, there's a question there. You heard me? On the orchard crops, 5 acres, somebody asked if 5 acres can be leased from Agro Investment Corporation. And I'm asking if you could also respond on it, Jodianne, to say whether or not, if that's a yes, could 5 acres be leased for orchard crops as well?
Okay, so let me know if you can hear me because I was speaking.
We are.
Okay, awesome. All right, so the minimum acreage that we lease here at Agro Invest is actually 5 acres. The persons who we allow to do less than 5 acres is normally our youth investors. So if you are a youth investor, you could speak with us for a different arrangement. Additionally, as it relates to orchard crops, remember that we said that there is an economic acreage that we recommend. And so we would not, if you're looking to run a commercial orchard crop project or business, we would not recommend that you go below the 20 acres for the ackee and the breadfruit or the 50 acres for mango, unless you are staggering your production or unless you're not going to be depending on the cash flow from the cash crops only, but you're looking to intercrop with different cash crops. Another point that I'd like to make, Marlene, there was a question that asked about insurance from weather. And so I'd ask our audience to check out the GK Weather Protect. There is a product that GK offers called GK Weather Protect, and it offers protection against rain, drought, and hurricane winds. So that is something that you could check for that in that regard.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Jodianne. There was a question much earlier in the presentation that I missed about avocado. The person was asking why we are not considering the Simmons. Andrew, you want to take that? You did?
Yeah.
Oh,
no problem. I did send a response, but they were asking about the Simmons, and basically what we recognize that, yes, Simmons is cultivated here in Jamaica. However, it has a shorter ripening period or reaping period than the other varieties. And what we have found out is that for export, it presents a challenge for packaging. And so it is not one of those varieties that are readily packaged for export.
Thank you, Andrea. There's a question here about JAMPRO. We did put an extended period for the Q&As to make sure that we can answer as many as possible. The person is asking, mentioned that JAMPRO was not mentioned and whether or not we collaborate with them. I can take that one. And the second part of the question, will the government provide infrastructure to access farmlands dedicated to orchard crop initiatives? I'm going to ask one of the panelists to take that. The JAMPRO has a number of commodities that they have responsibility for. It is a regulatory agency and it has responsibility over these particular crops, which include the coffee, Jamaica Blue Mountain coffee, and our cocoa, pimento, ginger, turmeric. So these are crops that they monitor and to ensure that certain standards are being met in right across the value chain for the ginger, particularly at the cultivation level. A number of initiatives are underway in all of these areas. For example, I do know that we recently collaborated with JAMPRO and the JCEA in developing an export marketing strategy. Cocoa is being looked at in terms of the development aspects of the sector. Likewise, for the other crops. A study was done, some work was done in collaboration with the FAO, international body, to look at both ginger and turmeric, and a whole business plan has been developed around those. JAMPRO, because we work with investors across all of the different sectors, we certainly have to work with JAMPRO as one of our stakeholders. And so where there may be any concerns on the, whether on the investment side, the export side, the buying side, we work very, very closely with them, and also to give visibility to the opportunities in these areas as well. Just to say, since the question didn't ask that, but these are also high opportunity areas, and we can also have conversations on these as well. Vivian?
Oh, Marlene, yes, I was busy responding to some of the inquiries online. Can you just highlight which question you'd like?
The one just below JAMPRO, which says, will the government provide infrastructure to access private land dedicated to orchard crop initiative? I just wanted your perspective, and we will also add a perspective from our end as well.
All right, so for infrastructure on private lands, that would be the responsibility of the investor who is leasing those private lands, or if they own those private lands. Government infrastructure is provided on lands that are owned and operated by government, usually on the agro-parks. There are some areas where we're providing irrigation on private lands, and these are in the production zones. Currently, there are no production zones for orchard crops. There are individual investors who have orchard crops on their own private lands, and they are the ones who provide irrigation, whether through a pumping system from nearby rivers, or if they're close to the National Irrigation Scheme irrigation projects, they can access government water via that network.
Thank you, Vivian. Andrea, could you also speak to some of the work that we do when we have private investors coming to us, and how, from a government standpoint, we support them?
Oh, sure, Marlene. So basically what we do is to work with them in that facilitation process. So having their own lands, meaning that they may need other infrastructure, for example, water. So we liaise with the National Irrigation Commission in terms of, providing farm gate, water at farm gate. We also, deal with other stakeholders like the RADA, if it is that any technical expertise, most times, sometimes if it is that they're abroad, they may not be based on the ground, and they may need farm managers. So we work with RADA and other stakeholders to see how it is that we can, help them, support them to have the right, staffing in place for the project. In addition to that, we may also have to liaise with other stakeholders and to do the introduction. Again, this depends on the location of the property. This depends on what are the requirements or what projects that they will put in. So we work with the different stakeholders to get them off the ground and, smooth implementation.
Okay. Thank you, Andrea. Sure. There is a question here that asks about the orchard crop opportunities without persons being the owner of the orchards. I'm not sure if this is asking, Leon, if this is asking about you being just an equity provider without being involved in the project. If that is the question, and these opportunities exist all the time, sometimes what we find is that an investor may come to us and say, we want to partner with a landowner on the ground, somebody who owns the land, and then they will come in, provide some equity, and then work the project. If this is not what you're asking, I'm going to ask that you pose another, clarify that in the chat as well, in the Q&A section. I don't know if AgriInvest responded to the question on the availability of lands within the agro park within St. Thomas.
Yes, I did
PGR.
respond to that. There is a limited availability of opportunities at the PGR in St. Thomas. They're not for cash crops at this time because the plots are smaller. We probably have about 2 or 3 areas under 10 acres that are available at PGR.
Okay, and I'm going to ask also that you work with me in responding also to Andre Anderson, who is asking about the varieties of avocado that we are looking to grow here in Jamaica. I'd just like to suggest that with the avocado, as with any other crops, where the varieties are not available locally, but we know that these are crops that can do very well in our export markets and even on the local market. What we do is we encourage the investor to engage with the plant quarantine division to get any planting material that they want to bring in properly tested. So this, it is a process. It can be a timely process, but because we do know that there are demands for these products where the planting materials are not available locally, engagements can take place locally to have the discussions around it and to have the necessary testings and research done. I don't know if you want to add anything on it. Any other panelists? All right, I am not. Okay, there's a question here about somebody is very interested here in the mango orchard crops, and they want to know if JAMPRO would assist with the business plan and if there is a cost with working with JAMPRO outside of the initial investment. I'll just say that for the business plan, Agro-Investment Corporation offers support in the build out of your business plans. In terms of the cost, whether or not we charge for the services we offer here at JAMPRO, the answer to that is no. We do. It is our role, our mandate, and we're very happy to do it, to walk you through from the very time you have conceptualized your idea. We want to know so that we can guide you through the entire process to getting your business registered, getting whatever approvals you want. Andrea had a number of the services that we offered on the screen. And maybe you could put it up again, Andrea, if you can. But any of these, we walk you through the entire process. We are a facilitation agency, and so we will work with you to get your projects in straight through. And then also we offer aftercare. So once you have landed, you're not left alone. We're also here to continue to work with you and handhold you as best as possible. Are there any other questions, any other panelists that you want to take at this time? If there are any that we missed, then of course we will try to answer them otherwise. Yes. Okay, at this point then, I am going to wrap up this segment of this webinar. I have to say that for me, there were some real interesting comments, and the questions I find were very good questions, and we hope that we were able to respond to them. And in any event, to your satisfaction. And in any event, we're here, you have our contact information, please reach out to us. Just to say that also we have, so we have heard from our presenters, we have heard on the opportunities for investing in the orchard crops. We also hinted that there are various other, as a matter of fact, we didn't hint. It was there on some of the slides. I saw it on Vivian's slide and some on Andrea's slide as well, that there are opportunities for other agricultural crops that can work very well on their own or by intercropping with the orchard crops. We also spoke to the value chain, because when the building out of the value chain, that while we grow these, we can also add value. And this is how we retain more of the incomes within our respective businesses by going up the value chain. And this is something that we want to encourage our cultivators and our producers to undertake. This is a sector that the government has prioritized, and not just the sector. Orchard crops has been prioritized by the government, and this prioritization is primarily because of the benefits that are available to the investor, and also the impact it can have on our economies, certainly this area of climate change, and how these crops help us, and food security as well. So, you know, this is a great opportunity area. Our agencies, JAMPRO and Agro Investment Corporation, are frontline agencies that stand ready to work with you, to respond to you on your queries, to help you with your investment projects. And I'm going to again invite you after this webinar to think about some of the opportunities have been presented here. Reach out to us. You can call us, you can email us, and we will respond to you. We have no excuse for not taking advantage of this great opportunity for investing in Jamaica. The lands are available, as we said, and the systems and support services are there. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to express our gratitude to you for taking the time to come and listen to us this morning and also interact with us. And we look forward to hearing back from you. Thank you. Thank you all. Have a good day.